As if it weren't bad enough that we're faced with distressing, intrusive feelings, how we usually react is to fan the flames and make them much worse. If our situation involves intrusive fear, for example, then we'll be inclined to terrorize ourselves by worrying about any and every danger, about everything that might go wrong. If our situation involves intrusive shame, then we punish ourselves over our perceived failings. We tell ourselves over and over how badly we screwed up, how pitiful, horrible, inadequate, or otherwise bad that we really are. If our situation evokes intrusive pain, then we torment ourselves by ruminating about our hurt, our loss. We remind ourselves over and over about what has befallen us, to the total neglect of all of the wonderful things and fulfilling relationships that we still have in our lives. If anger is triggered, we ruminate about how we've been mistreated, disrespected, or misunderstood. As most psychologists will tell you, these very common ways of mistreating ourselves fuel our misery, and if we can stop doing them, we'll feel better. Excellent, you say. All I have to do is realize that these feelings are intrusive and to stop tormenting myself over them, and then I'll be much happier. True, I say, but there are a couple of problems. First, the intrusive feelings are very compelling, and you're going to have a hard time believing that they aren't about your current situation. Second, as awful as it feels to torment yourself, you'll be quite reluctant to give this up. What? You protest? Of course I'll stop tormenting myself. Now that I know that it makes me feel miserable, why wouldn't I stop it? Well, you'll keep tormenting yourself because it actually gives you a bit of relief. Yes, it makes you miserable in the long run, but you actually get a little drop of immediate relief, so you're going to be inclined to keep doing it. Now you might be thinking that I'm the one who's crazy. How, you ask, can tormenting yourself feel even a little bit good? If you're triggered into feeling scared, like George, it'll feel like you're in some kind of danger. You'll then naturally search the world and search your mind for the source of the danger. And you do that so you can prepare yourself to escape it or deal with it as best as possible. So you become vigilant to potential threats and worry about potential dangers to protect yourself from being blindsided by something bad that happens. By doing this, you create the illusion that you're keeping yourself safe. And when we feel afraid, doing something that helps us to feel just a little bit safer feels good. That makes good sense, doesn't it? If I feel like I'm in danger, then I'm going to do what I can to protect myself from potential threats. Unfortunately, as we now know, this needless worry and vigilance is the very same self-torment by which we keep ourselves afraid, how we fan the flames of our fear. What if we're triggered into some quality of shame or guilt? In the face of feeling like we've been bad, we feel a little bit virtuous if we punish or mistreat ourselves, like we've redeemed ourselves in some way for our perceived transgressions. It's as if we've acknowledged our badness and perhaps will be forgiven or at least punished less harshly. Think of it like a child whose parent is furious with them. When children are given the message that they're bad, the child is then paradoxically being good by feeling guilty and showing it. If the child says, "Sorry, I've been bad," the parent is likely to back off on the shaming and the punishment. So, in the face of feeling like I'm bad, if I punish myself, I feel like I'm being good. And this little bit feeling virtuous is an antidote to my feeling of shame. Of course, all of this backfires, and this beating ourselves up can fan the flames of our intrusive shame into an all-consuming inferno. Finally, if we're triggered into feeling intrusive pain, our rumination over the hurt or loss keeps us connected to the thing or person we've lost. Our thoughts and longing for the lover who rejected us keeps us connected to her, just like a teenage girl's crush on an unattainable celebrity keeps her connected to him. These fantasies of connection feel good, so we'll be inclined to keep ruminating. This ongoing thinking about our loss can also feel good because it seems like we're doing the right thing, that to allow ourselves to feel happy and move on in our lives would somehow be dishonoring of the wonderful thing that we had. Again, this leaves us fanning the flames of that intrusive pain, because it feels a little bit good, even though it leaves us feeling much worse. So, when the intrusive fear, shame, or pain are triggered, we're inclined to get a bit of relief by doing things that actually amount to mistreating ourselves. It's obviously the last thing we need, but it's very compelling to do it. A final point is that this mistreatment of ourselves can itself be a trigger of intrusive feelings. The things we tell ourselves, that we're in danger, that we're bad, or that our life is over due to our loss, can understandably trigger more intrusive fear, pain, or shame. So, we can end up in this positive feedback loop where the intrusive feelings and our mistreatment of ourselves kind of bounce off each other in an escalating cycle of distress. To become happier, it's therefore crucial that we learn about the ways that we mistreat ourselves and stop.